Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this segment, we will talk about the final category of irregular verbs, which is lafeef. Here is what we've done so far. So we've covered all sorts of verbs now. So in terms of Sahih, we have Salim, which is just our regular verbs where all three of the root letters are proper. So there are no illats. Then we have Mahmuz, where there is a Hamza somewhere, either in the Fa place or the Ain place or Lam place. And then we have Muzaf, where we have a given root letter that's repeated. Then we get to Fele Muattal. Muattal means that there is an illat. Illat means that we either have a waw or a ya. Misal. So do you remember? So Shahrukh, what does misal mean? So
Example.
yeah, you can just unmute your mic so we can just make this a little bit interactive. So what does misal mean?
The misal is, I think, when the first letter is wow or
Exactly.
yeah, I've completely forgotten, but this is
So
my
well,
guess.
yeah, now we'll get you back. So Dr. Ghani, what does misal mean?
Yeah, so I guess the first letter is either a vav or a ya.
Exactly. So then what are the two kinds of misals?
Vavi and yayi.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So misal, wawi, and yeah. Okay. Then ajwaf. Ajwaf actually means sort of the middle area. So jawf, like the hollow in a cave, the middle inside a cave is called jawf. So ajwaf. So ajwaf means that the illat is in the middle. Again, ajwaf e wawi and ajwaf e yai. And nakis means sort of incomplete or there's a problem at the end. So we can have nakis e yai or nakis e wawi. And what we'll talk about today is lafeef. What do you think lafeef means?
Well, the illat
Lafif,
is
Yeah, go ahead,
when the
Doctor. Yeah, Aziz Saab, go ahead.
the first letter and last letter are illat,
Yeah, more precisely, we have two illats. So
two illat.
two out of three are illats. All right. And basically, lafeef, when you have lafeef, then some of the above rules will apply. Okay. So here I'm going to give you several lafeef examples just so you understand.
يلا
So mujarrad, what did mujarrad mean? So mujarrad means that
नहीं चलना चाहिए
three root letters.
अंदर और टक्कर
So three root letters and
ये और ये
no mazids. So look with this wana yani. So we have waw as the first and then ya as the last. Here we have ya and ya. Waqa means to protect. So waw in the beginning, ya at the end, and so on. So notice we have multiple. We have two illats. And then you have something like rawa yarau, which means to narrate. Like when you say ravi, who is the ravi of a given hadith? So that's this word over here. Ravi is the ismul fa'il from rawa, which means one who narrates. So what is the difference that you see between this rawa and waqa? You see a difference? The difference, yeah.
illat are
Yeah.
the last two.
the placement
Exactly.
of the illat.
So in here we have the illat in the fa location and the ain location,
Lam.
and then
The lam
the lam location, fa ain lam location, and then over here the two illats are together. So waw and ya are together. Okay, there are actually many words in the Quran that have this. So wasa means to enjoin, like in Surah Wal Asri, tawasaw bil haq, tawasaw bis sabri. So that comes from here. Hayya ala salah, hayya attahiyatu lillahi means to greet. Sawa means to fashion or form or to make equal. Wafa. So wafa means to fulfill a promise. So there are many words that actually have this lafeef illat or lafeef issue in them. Okay, so some examples from this is from Surah Wal Asri, Tawassaw bil Haqq, which means to urge one another to do something. So Tawasi bil Haqq means to urge somebody towards the truth. Tawasi bil Sabr, urge somebody towards sabr. And ittaqa yattaqi, this means to be pious, to be conscious of. So taqwa comes from here. Istawa means to ascend or to be equal. So lots of examples. All right. Now, I've already alluded to this. A word is considered lafeef, mafruq, when the first and last letters are vowels. So when the first and last root letters are vowels, in other words, this irregularity combines naqis and misal. So Shahrukh, what did this mean? What is misal?
Yeah, misal is where the first letter is the illa, and naqis
Exactly.
is where the last letter is the
Exactly.
illa.
So if you have the fa, ain, lam, so with misal, you have an illat over here, and naqis, you have illat over here. So lafeef mafruq. Mafruq, you can think, comes from faraq. Faraq means to make a differentiation. So these two are like separated or differentiated because there is a regular normal letter in between, and the illat is basically separated. And the rules of mithal and naqis both apply in mazid fi. Okay, so for us the story becomes simple that the sorts of rules we discussed earlier, those would apply here. Then guess what lafeef makroon means. So makroon
When they're
means
combined.
yeah, when they're combined. So when the second and third root letters are vowels. So we don't have a situation where the first two root letters are vowels. We can have a situation where the second and third are vowels, or we can have a situation where the first and third are vowels. This type of word behaves just like a naqis. So when you have the fa, ain, lam, and then you have a vowel over here and here, then all the naqis rules apply. The only sort of exception is if you have two yas at the end. So you have a ya over here and a ya over here, then either we have the naqis rules or the mudaf rules, but by and large, it is the naqis rules. So, Dr. Ghani, can you remind us what does mudaf mean?
Mudaf. Sorry, I've forgotten, I think.
Somebody else? So, does somebody else?
Mudaf is when there's an addition, right? Mudaf, mudaf alayh. So
No,
something belonging to something.
So that's
No?
that's something mudaf. Okay, if I show this to you, let's see if this rings a bell. So mudaf.
Oh, this one mudaf. Okay, this is when you have two letters that are the same.
Exactly.
Two illas that are the same.
No, mudaf means two letters the same.
Oh,
So
two letters are the
mudaf in of itself means the same. Two letters are the same. So here what we are saying is, if you have ya and ya at the end, so this is both mudaf and naqis. So I hope what you are realizing here is that a given word can have multiple, just like a given person can have multiple illnesses. Similarly, a word can have multiple irregularities or illnesses. So if you have ya and ya, so you can really think this as like ajwaf wawi, it has a naqis wawi, it has muzaf, so it has all sorts of issues. But the rules that apply here will generally be the naqis rules. And if you have second and third root letters, so this and this is a vowel, you could think that it's both naqis and mithal, but the rules that apply are the naqis rules. Okay, so if there's a problem at the end, that sort of dominates. It's like having two illnesses. The illness that has to do with the final letter is the one that dominates. That's more powerful. All right. Now, at this point, I'm going to make a confession, and I think you might appreciate this. One of the hardest things that I've found in my Arabic studies is learning all the rules associated with illats. So what our teachers told us was that, look, step one is to recognize that illats exist. Then step two is to recognize at least that there is an illat, that that there is a waw involved or a ya involved or a combination, or there is a hamza, and you know that this word will not quite behave perfectly. So then as you study the Quran and you study the vocabulary, you get used to the different kinds of illats. And over time, as you keep looking at the rules, you will sort of start internalizing the main rules. Otherwise, literally with illats, there are 100+ rules. And it would be impossible for us to just, over these classes, for me to just say the rules to you and you remember them. Even I don't remember all the rules properly. But as long as you realize that if you look at a word like auha, yuhi, so over here we clearly have an illat. So there is a situation where we can see that we have this is family 4. Remember what family 4 is? Anyone?
Akrama, which is
Exactly.
like
So akrama
yeah.
yukrimu.
Yukrimu.
Okay, this is Babe Ifal. So akrama yukrimu. And you see that flavor over here, right? You see the hamza with the fatha. So akrama, what is the fa letter here? It's a waw. What's the lam letter? It's ya.
Choti hai. Yeah.
So actually, when so Shahrukh, you missed the last class, but when you see this sort of letter, the choti without any dots in this style that I'm using, this is actually an alif maksura. So awha yuhi. Okay, we covered this in our last class. So now you just need to remember, and this, if I don't know, Dr. Ghani, do you remember from the last class that when we talked about naqis, do you remember we said that with fail madhi, in almost all cases, we have the last letter becomes alif maksura, like this. And with fail mudare, the last letter becomes a ya. Okay. So now with lafeef makroon, we are saying that by and large, the naqis rules apply. Naqis is the so naqis is where the last root letter is problematic. So just like with regular naqis, here when we have lafeef makroon, what's lafeef makroon? Mafruq, lafeef mafruq.
Whether they're separated, so first and last.
Yeah, first and last, exactly. So what rules apply? The naqis rules. And what is the most fundamental naqis rule? That in the past tense we have alif maksura, and in the present fail mudare we have a ya. So awha yuhi, and then just just remember awha yuhi iha, and so this is the word for revelation, and you just remember this. The other general point, and again I'm not going to get into the intricacies and subtleties of all the rules. I hope you've realized that one of the most fundamental guiding principle with all these illats is that one of two things happen. Either an illat is dropped, so you will see situations where the illat letter is altogether dropped, or you will see a situation where the illat letter is transformed. So sometimes the waw will become a ya, for example, or something will become an alif. And the whole logic behind the transformation is so that it sounds better. So the sound needs to be smooth. So those are the principles that are behind all the rules. It's for me hard to remember the rules over time. Inshallah, I'll learn them. But when those principles are kept in mind, then at least you can have an understanding of what's going on. So keep in mind with family 4 and most families, the naqis rule is followed. Naqis means that the last letter becomes alif maksura for the past tense, fail madhi, and with fail mudare, the last letter becomes ya. A classic example, awha yuhi. Okay, and then this is another very important word that keeps coming in the Quran. So for example, in the famous dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan, the last part is waqina. Waqina azab an-nar. Okay, so waqa, so that comes from this. Here again, What sort of illat is this? Do you see?
Mafruq.
Mafruq.
So it is lafeef because it has waw and ya, and it is mafruq. And what does waqa mean? Waqina azab an-nar.
To protect us.
To protect, exactly. So waqa,
Protect.
waqa. So how it's pronounced waqa. So notice the alif maksura here in this text, in this dream textbook from where I've taken this material. The ya, it's written ya, but it's actually an alif maksura. So waqa, yaqi. So yaqi is fail mudare. And interestingly, this is the amr. Both the waw and the ya get dropped. So sometimes you can have a full word. So if I just want to say to you protect, then so I'm giving you a command to protect. That's just qaf kasra. That's it. The first letter goes.
Is it? Are you going to say kaf or are you going to say qi?
Qi. So qi is just qi is protect, and you will see this now in the Quran. Sometimes the whole word is just qi. That's it. And I'm not going to go into the rules, but just recognizing that this happens is important. At least you know that when they are illats, then so remind me, with illats, what sorts of things can happen? Can letters
Either
be
the
dropped?
letters dropped,
Yeah.
that, or
they're transformed.
changed to some other.
Exactly. So they are dropped or they are transformed. Okay, so that's important. Okay. Then the other type of lafeef is maqroon. What does maqroon mean?
That they're together.
They are together. So sawa, yusavi. So notice here again, the standard naqis rule is that with fail madi, you are going to have an alif maksura. Sawa, yusavi. So yusavi is fail mudare. So with fail mudare, you have a ya at the end. All right. And then sawa'un. So sawa'un means it's the same. I hope you remember this when we were doing Surah Al-Baqarah in the beginning.
Baqarah.
Exactly. Sawa'un alayhim anzartahum am lam tunzirhum. Anzartahum am lam tunzirhum. So sawa'un, ya la yu'minun. So they will.
It is the same for them whether you
it is the
want them
same.
or not.
So that's this word. So this is lafeef, maqroon, which means they are together. And the point is that the naqis rule is applying, which means that sawa. So here we have alif maksura and the fail madi, and yusawi, which is basically mudare, and like sawa'an, like literally for the masdar, in the end we just have a hamza, the waw or the ya just vanishes.
सर इसमें तीन इल्लत आ रहे हैं, या वाव या.
Actually no, this ya is not part of the root. Okay, so the root letters here are sin, waw and ya. This ya is a fail mudare indicator.
I see.
Right.
Thank you.
So that's important to also recognize when you are looking at words. Okay. Yeah.
I was just wondering, is it possible to have sawa'un with a fatha on sin? Because I recall that in some places it might be sawa. Or is that my mistake? Is it always seen with
a instead of siva? Yeah, I've also read sawa'un.
Then that is a different word. So you're right.
Okay.
So siva'an. And if there is another, you see, this is a very important point, and it's good, as we are wrapping up. If the fatha, kasra, dhamma is happening with the first couple of letters, then it becomes a different word. With the fatha, kasra, dhamma changing on the last letter, then that's only changing something from rafa, nasab, jar. But if you have siva'an versus sava'an, then the meaning will be different.
Okay, so it's probably a different word.
Yeah, it's a very good catch. It's a different word then. The meaning might be similar because the root letters are the same, but the root letters are the same, but the meaning would be different.
Okay.
Okay, tawa. So this again same with mazi. You have tawa, and mudare you have yatri. This means to fold. This one here, we have a situation where we have two yas. So the root letters are ha, ya, and ya. So this is Bab Samaya. So Bab Samaya, do you remember? So sa, mi, what's the
Yasma'u.
Yes.
yes?
Nasara yansuru.
No, that's a different Bab. Nasara yansaru,
Samaya Yasma'u.
samea yasma'u. So
Samia, yes.
so
Fatha.
in the past tense, it can be, this is ha ya ya, so it can be written as ha yi ya, but that doesn't sound very good. So the more common way of writing it is hayya in fi'l madi, and then present tense would be samea yas ma'u. So this becomes yahya. So we have a fatha over here, and so this becomes basically yahya. So this is just something that you need to remember. All right. So at least, in terms of what I want to cover, now there are many other rules, but I'll just sort of summarize the main idea and the main rules. And then when you are reading the Quran at this stage, I think it is quite a major point that you can at least start recognizing that okay, this is an illat, and then you can just dig in and figure out what are the root letters. And that Arabic Quranic dictionary, I don't know how many of you got it, but if you get that dictionary, it will tell you from the root letters what the original form would have been without any sort of rules applied. And then so it tells you istamali form, how it's actually used, and asli form, which is in its reality, how should it have been if the illat rules had not kicked in. So anyway, as you keep looking at those rules, then you will start understanding. But just recognize that we effectively have 7 categories. One is just regular, then you have 2 is mahmuz, 3 is muzaf, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the 7 kinds of illats, and being able to recognize them, and then being able to recognize that either an illat letter is being dropped or transformed, and the idea is to avoid any u sounds, any ugly pronunciation sounds are avoided.